And this is interesting from Zero Hedge and actually from Goldman Sachs, keeping in mind, if you saw the interview, the Three Amigos or Tres Amigos, which was released Monday, I'm on my channel, where Cliff High talks about this guy, he knows in the banking system or whatever, that mentioned, the Goldman boys are, in the club, the banksters, see $500 Ethereum, or excuse me, $500 Veritasium sometime, like almost immediately, I guess, after it gets on a well-known exchange, as soon as that happens, which, by the way, should be in the very near future as far as getting on an exchange, but could go much higher. So here's Goldman, according to Zero Hedge, speaking of Goldman, sees Bitcoin soaring as high as almost $4,000, $3,915 during the next breakout. Last week, former Fortress principal Michael Novogratz made headlines in the cryptocurrency world when he told attendees at the CB Insights Future of FinTech conference that he has cut holdings in Bitcoin and Ethereum after the cryptocurrency's latest spectacular run, warning that Ethereum had likely hit its highs for the year and cryptocurrencies were likely the biggest bubble of his lifetime. His caution was understandable. After all, during a 2013 UBS conference, he said, "Put a little money into Bitcoin, come back in a few years, and it's going to be worth a lot." We doubt even he knew how right he would end up being. However, while the latest sentiment appears rather downbeat, Novogratz said he remained very positively constructive on the space overall, as he should. He still has 10% of his net worth invested in the sector, and as Bloomberg reported, Novogratz says cryptocurrencies could be worth north of $5 trillion in 5 years if the industry can come out of the shadows. So on that note, it would take the banking system to get on board, right? To make a statement like that even plausible. Well, that's funny because the banking system, JP Morgan, Goldman, the boys, especially JP, recently I've seen the article. They're getting into blockchain technology. Mind you, I had an email from somebody, I think it was last year maybe, who said, "I do work in IT work in that industry. I can tell you with certainty, 100% certainty, the banks are getting ready to deal with, blockchain technology." He told me that, I think it was last year. So fast forward to Sunday evening, Goldman's chief technician, Sheba Jafari, issued only his second forecast of where Bitcoin is headed next, which may accelerate Novogratz's crypto price target. Recall that as we first reported 3 weeks ago, Jafari said that, due to popular demand, it's worth taking a quick look at Bitcoin here, and warned that the market has come close enough to reaching its extended 2.618 target for a third of V waves from the inception low at 3,134. She concluded that she was wary of a near-term top ahead of 3,134 and urged clients to consider reestablishing bullish exposure between 2330 with 2,330 and no lower than 1915. She was right. On the first day his note came out, both Bitcoin and Ethereum hit their all-time highs and shortly after suffered their biggest drop in over 2 years. So what does Jafari think will happen next? According to the Goldman technician, Bitcoin is now in a wave 4 of a sequence that started at the late 2010, early 2011 lows. Wave 3 came close enough to reaching its 2.618 extended target at 3,135. Wave 4 has already retraced between 23.6% and 38.2% of the move since January 2015 to 2,330/1915. What does this mean for the uninitiated? In short, while Bitcoin remains in wave 4, it could go up or down, she explains. It's worth keeping in mind that fourth waves tend to be messy and complex. This means that it could remain sideways or overlapping for a little while longer. At this point, it's important to look for either an ABC pattern or a more triangular ABCDE. The former would target somewhere close to 1856, providing a much cleaner setup from which to consider getting back into the uptrend. The latter would hold within a 2,076 to 3,000 range for an extended period of time. However, at that point, the next major breakout higher would take place, one which would take Bitcoin as high as $3,915. Either way, eventually, expecting one more leg higher, a fifth wave. From current levels, Bitcoin has a minimum target that goes out to 3,212, if equal to the length of wave 1. There's potential to extend as far as 3,915, if 1.618 times the length of wave 1. It just might take time to get there. Goldman's analyst concludes with the following summary. Bitcoin could consolidate sideways for a while longer, shouldn't go much further than 1857, eventually targeting at least 3212. And I don't know that those are necessarily prices. Is it 5, 39? Then again, maybe it is. Anyway. So, anyways, I want to share what Goldman's thoughts are on these cryptocurrencies. You have to figure if these things were going to just crash and burn, the government, the financial system would have already been all over it and taught us a deep, valuable lesson. Don't touch that ever again. You just got crushed. Worse than terrible. Don't touch it again. That would have been the lesson. But instead, the opposite is occurring. And the banks are actually getting involved with cryptos these days now. Go figure. Take care.